All right, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to the newest episode of Nerd and the Geek, where you get to choose at the end of the show who's the nerd and who's the geek. We're gonna do something a little different today. We're gonna talk about a little bit of gaming stuff, gaming info. So, as you know, our shows are live. We don't cut, so we're gonna just kind of do these in segments. So we're gonna do this one. Then after, if you want to watch about we have some updated news as far as DC and Marvel. And my man Chuck here is going to be dropping some news on you from that. And he's also going to be coming with today's banger. DC Legends just came out with a couple of new characters. And for those of you that are into mobile games, rocking at DC Legends, you may want to know, who is this chick with the wings? I mean, why they pick her? Everybody was hyped for some other characters. And Mr. Terrific, which version of this is it? We want to know all about that. So I'm going to let you go. Tell us about this chick with wings. Who is she? What is her name? Where's she come from?
People need to put some respect on her name. First of all, we got to give our intros. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Bob Belcher.
I am D, and I identified as a four-toed Imperial Dragon.
Exactly, man. So put some respect on that Imperial Dragon's name. But we are talking DC Legends, and the character dropped this week. A bit of an unknown character, but nobody's unknown to me in the DC universe, Danny. You know this. And we are talking about fucking Dawnstar. Dawnstar, all right? First of all, descendant of the Anasazi tribe, all right? Born with glorious white wings and a beautiful alabaster angel skin. But what makes her dope is she's got two powers, which I think are really, really cool that people sleep on. Number one, she's got self-sustenance, which means that she doesn't need food, oxygen, any of that shit to survive. She can be out in space for an endless amount of time and be totally fine. But she is the DC's best tracker. Like, fuck Marvel's Thunderbird and all this shit. She is so good at tracking. She tracks Barry Allen to not just where he is, she tracks him to what time he's in. And because she's one of the founding members of the Legion, so put some respect on that, she's got the Legion time travel ring. So she tracks Barry Allen in Knoxville, Tennessee, and like, he's not here. She goes, oh, he's here. He's here 40 years ago. And then time travels back, and boom, there's Barry Allen right there. Like, how the hell did you find me? Like, absolutely crazy. She's got a big part in Zero Hour. She's only ever appeared in any live action formats in the very original Justice League cartoon from the early 2000s. She had a small arc in there. And a lot of people mistake her with Hawkgirl, thinking she's Thanagarian, and she is not. She is a human race descended from the Anasazi. So she's basically the DC version of a mutant. But insane. Like, she's got strength, speed, a slow level of invulnerability, but it's her tracking abilities are really what makes her such a cool character. So how does something like that factor into the game as someone that doesn't play the game, Danny? How does somebody with like tracking abilities like that factor in?
All right, so what they have her as is she's an evasion. So they have different sets of tunes, and one of them on DC is people that have like good evasion. I'm gonna pull her up in the game right now. I should have had this ready to go. I was too engrossed in you explaining it, and then decided to pay attention to that more than what I was supposed to be doing. So, there's that. Own your truth, people. Own your truth.
And I will say, if Dawnstar ever gets brought to live action, I would like to see one of Danny and I's favorite actresses play her, and that would be Katie Cockatoo. Katie Cockatoo, for those of you who don't know, is actually Kaylee Cuoco. But no. In the pre-show meeting for this, Danny happened to call her Katie Cockatoo with such conviction that I'm now convinced that's her real name.
Her real name is Katie Cockatoo. Y'all don't understand. Alternate universe, Katie Cockatoo. She changed it when she came here. All right, so she has, she's an evader. So her first skill is Eagle Claw, damage to a single enemy, and apply 3 hit chance downs, gain 2 evasion ups. So she's making sure you miss her, and again, evasion ups. Awesome. Tracking
she's
the
also
enemy.
got a big role in Zero Hour. She helps track down Hal Jordan.
Oh, well, yes. This is the next one. Tracking the enemy. Apply 3 evasion downs to all enemies and remove all awareness. Apply all allies gain affinity power up. So she's a buffer and debuffer, and again, evasion. Her third power, self-sustenance. Like you said,
that's what I was talking about.
Gain 4 mends, 30% shield, and purge up to 5 debuffs. Again, she's purging. She's a debuffer. That's awesome. Indomitable Spirit, passive ability at the beginning of her turn. If Dawnstar's HP is below 50%, she has 60% chance to use self-sustenance. We just reckoned this. Her last one is Hunter's Frenzy, passive ability. If an enemy's health is under 60% or over 100%, because teams get overhealed, Dawnstar has 60% chance of using Eagle Claw on that enemy at the start of their turn. So she's also has out of turn abilities. She looks like she's gonna be a little something. Like she's gonna be a problem. But they brought some characters in recently. And if you team her up with, let's see who else we have here. Or like, man, there's some good evasion tunes on here. I started playing the game a little late, so I don't have all of them all the way up. But I do have Cheshire, who is like a beast when it comes to evasion. She's a problem.
I
So
mean, Dawnstar is a deep cut character. She hasn't been used since 2007. Character originally debuted in the Legion Superheroes first comic in 1977. Her two best moments by far are in Blackest Night, tracking Barry, and then in 0 Hour, tracking Hal Jordan. And that was kind of her role. She exists outside of the Justice League because, of course, she's part of the Legion from the 31st century. But she is one of the 4 founders of the Legion, which not enough people put her respect on her name for that.
yeah, like so when people in the game heard that they were kind of leading characters, they were excited. So when her name popped up and she was the character released, there was looks like some confusion, disappointment on why they chose her. So it's good to know her backstory to saying why the game developers, because the DC game, I admit, like they do a very good job bringing characters in. Like yeah, Sentry is one of the after he got his buff, he did his rework. He's one of the strong characters in the game, as he should be. Trigon,
Right.
one of the strongest characters in the game. Arcturus is the best lead in the game right now. Arcturus just brings that in rage and just goes ham. And you put Arcturus with Supergirl, and she just blasts everybody twice, give them strength downs, and her passive is you can't crit. Like so, you just got Arcturus and goes and like they have all that. Like the animation is good, the characters are good, they're nice and clean. So I'm a Marvel guy, but I like the DC game more than I like the Marvel game so far.
And if my chest doesn't represent it enough, I am the resident DC encyclopedia here on this network. So I will
Yes.
always be here to rep DC. So DC Legends is going to be a great new segment that we add to try to bring some of you gamer guys in. Whereas a new character drops, we'll do, a quick history drop on them. Danny will give you the insight into how that character functions into the game. I'll give you the insight into that character itself and some of their history and most important moments. So that'll be a fun new segment to add.
And okay, so we're gonna do Mr. Terrific. Before we end this segment, we want to give it. What can you tell us about him? Because
Mr. Terrific. Now it depends on what version they're doing here in the game. My whole thing with Mr. Terrific is in the comics, he is pretty formidable. Like the Arrow show did not really do him justice in the way that I felt that he deserved. And secondly, I will say I'm not definitely a fan of his costume. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. But as far as power sets go, he's really great. I mean, so Michael Holt is the original Mr. Terrific. There's been several iterations of him over time, but I always reference the Michael Holt one. First appearance is in the Justice League of America comic in 1987. And just running through a little bit of his list here. He's kind of like the version of Moon Girl. Was always a child prodigy, had some great powers, things like that. Dark Knight's Metal was the series where he kind of really came in to the DC universe and really like threw shit down. Even though it was the Earth 2 version, it was still really cool. So they have one of his abilities listed here as cooking because he created his own meatless burgers. Business management is another one of his powers, but he has what I have, which is a real thing, which is an eidetic memory, which means he can remember anything he's ever seen or ever heard with perfect recall, which is really cool. He's also got the ability of polymath, which is he has 14 PhDs, and polymath allows him to, it's a quantum mechanics style level of math. So he can complete insane calculations in his head with like crazy fast timing and electricity. He's also an expert gymnast, all pro detective, black belt in 6 different disciplines of martial arts, speaks more than 42 different languages, and he's got peak human condition, which for those who don't know, in the DC universe, that is right below superhuman level. So he's got the best levels of strength, speed, and agility that a normal human could have. So picture like Usain Bolt, and then
Yeah,
add in,
because they say he's an Olympic athlete, as well as the self-proclaimed third smartest man in the DC universe.
and he's got tactical analysis. One of his great little flexes that I love is he plays chess with two chess masters with his eyes closed at the same time. Just like the little flexes of him there.
You like listening to the clank of the piece.
Yeah, and he knows exactly where the pieces are going to be. He also created what's called T-spheres that he uses
things that
as
fly
a weapon.
around.
Yeah, the T-spheres, they can do a lot of things. They're basically like Mysterio's holographic projectors from Spider-Man Far From Home. Just that with like an up tech level, but that's the best live action comparison that I can give you with that. It was created by John Ostrander, who created a lot of the Young Justice League members. So this was back in the heyday 80s of DC, which is really, really cool. He's had 84 total appearances over the course of the comics, and most famous appearance is on the Arrow show. But currently, he is one of the members of Checkmate in the DC Comics. Those that don't know, that is Amanda Waller's, not the Suicide Squad. That's like the regular people that she has that go out.
Yeah, those are the guys that she's like, I'm sending you all to actually come back. Like, yes. I care what happens to you because you all are kind of OP. Them other ones, I'm not. I mean, we give or take. Yeah. So in the game, it looks like, all right. So they come on with two characters. So the free to play is Dawnstar, but Mr. Terrific is going to be one that if you want him, you can buy him, or he's going to be like a little bit of a grind to level up. In the game, they built him well. Like he looks like he's like jack of all trades, master of none. So in order to get the most out of him, you're gonna have to L5 him to get all of his usage. But it looks like what you can do and what I like, because there's a lot of theory crafting in DC Legends, that he'll allow you to morph whatever team you have. He can buff that team. So whatever you have, like that team, you can just automatically throw Mr. Terrific as the fourth member. Let's say you make an invasion team. You're like, okay, there's one other guy I want to put in my invasion team to make him OP. Oh, okay. So for now, I'll just put Mr. Terrific in there and he'll go in. Or okay, this team, he's the debuffing squad. I have this character, but they're not quite ready yet. You have Mr. Terrific ready, just throw him in. So that looks like that's what he's gonna be for now. He won't be like an S tier guy, but he'll be a guy that you can get a lot of usage out of once you get him to that level. So it'll be interesting to see his evolution as we go through. And there's other guys who can break down the characters in game far better than I.
Another side note about him, in the modern retelling of DC's Rebirth, he is one of the co-coders of Watchtower.
So we need to talk about that big laser in the sky that you guys have. Like, listen, we'd never use it. You just used it like 2 seconds ago. We want to use it again.
What you're talking about? What laser? I'm not worried about it. Shouldn't worry about it.
Only Bruce can sit there, look into a general in his face, and you're like, yeah, we don't use that though.
Now, the one character we were really hyped for that we heard that DC is going to be releasing is kind of an outside character, not necessarily from the DC canon, and that is Father Doug, which we were really excited about. Father Doug from the Haunted House movies, played by Cedric the Entertainer. I mean, his exorcism abilities are just,
they're off the wall.
Absolutely. I mean, and of course we call him Doug because he doesn't like to be called father because that implies too much responsibility.
Put some respect on that name, just not.
And for those of you that are wondering what the hell just happened with this conversation, again, pre-show meeting, we just happened to be talking about one of our favorite comedies and Cedric the Entertainer's role in it. So if you haven't seen A Haunted House, trust me, do yourself the favor and watch this movie. And if you are Black and have not seen this movie, watch this movie because it is a hilarious take on the paranormal activity movies.
Like Joe Biden says, if you're Black, you'll be voting for this movie.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It represents everything that Black America needs to see in a horror movie. And it's 10 years old at this point, which is crazy to think.
Fantastic. All right, so that'll do it for this segment. But you guys stay tuned. It's
more
gonna be like a little commercial
DC
break.
Dives.
because we're gonna shut this one down and we're gonna start the next one because we're gonna do some deep dives into some movies that are coming up. We have some information about the DCU. You know, another reboot. Their movies are just like their comics; they reboot every like 2-3 years.
And Danny, you can vouch. We have got some serious insider sources now in the MCU that are bringing us daily updates on Phase 5 and 6. And we're not talking like, oh, this might happen and this might happen. No, we're getting confirmed castings, confirmed story points, like serious insider.
Yeah, this
MCU
isn't
knowledge.
that. Well, people are saying, no, not people. You just said it. You're just saying what you just said, not people. No, this is like Chuck has some information that has been posted on our website, so you can go to Gygo
Network.com.
GygoNetwork.com, and you'll see on there'll be little infographics and everything, and it'll be like people are citing this site because that's where it's coming from. They'll be posting up on there. So we're gonna set this one down, a little commercial break, and then check out because we're gonna come with another show. We're doing this a segment because it's all live, baby. So
Woo! I love it.
you know, deuces. Once again, I'm D, and I identify as a 4-toed Imperial Dragon.
And I'm Stewie Griffin, and you've been watching Brian and Stewie's live chat.
Whoop, whoop.
Stay away from Oprah.